The mighty Dragon Empress scorned all suitors until a fearless human boy melted her heart. In the far reaches of the Orion Rift, on a crimson world wrapped in storms, the Dragon Empire ruled the skies. Its empress, Sarathra, the dragon of 10,000 flames, was the most feared being in the known galaxy. Her wings could blot out moons, her breath could burn through steel, and her voice could silence armies. They said no being, mortal or immortal, had ever won her heart. Over centuries, kings, conquerors, and gods themselves had tried to court her, offering riches, planets, and entire fleets, but she had scorned them all. "No being is manly enough for me," she would roar, her laughter shaking the heavens. Love, she believed, was a weakness, an ember that dulled the fire of command. But the galaxy had a way of humbling even its fiercest rulers. The Empress's empire was vast, yet restless. Her generals whispered of rebellion on the human frontier, the same race that had once served as laborers and traders under Drakkari rule. She dismissed the rumors until a single message reached her throne. "We have captured a human insurgent, a boy who calls himself Kale." Sarathra almost laughed. A boy threatening her empire? But the message continued. He destroyed an outpost single-handedly, using only stolen tech. He refuses to kneel, even under flame. That last part caught her attention. Few creatures could withstand her soldiers' fire interrogation. Fewer still would dare speak defiance to a Drakkari. "Bring him to me," she ordered. He was small by her standards, barely reaching her knee when she stood in her full, towering form. Shackled, dirt-streaked, and bleeding, yet his eyes, blue as lightning, never flinched. "So," she rumbled, descending the throne steps, molten scales glinting under the hall's crimson light. "You are the human boy who thinks himself a dragon slayer." Kale raised his head.
"No.
"I'm the boy who thinks dragons should stop burning children's worlds." The court gasped. No one spoke to the Empress like that, and lived. Sarathra's lips curled in amusement. "And yet here you stand, still breathing. Tell me, what gives you the courage to mock me?" He smiled faintly, though his voice trembled. "Because I've seen what you're afraid to, your reflection. You rule through fear because you're afraid of being alone." Her laughter thundered through the hall, shaking the crystal pillars. "You think me lonely, boy? I have legions who kneel at my claws." "Then why," he asked quietly, "do your eyes look like they've been crying for centuries?" For the first time in millennia, the Empress fell silent. That night, she ordered him not executed, but imprisoned in the high tower overlooking the burning sea. She told herself it was curiosity, that she wanted to see how long his defiance would last. But as days passed, she found herself drawn to the tower again and again. He would not kneel. He would not beg. Instead, he asked questions no one else dared. "Do you ever fly for joy, not war? What do you dream of when the fire sleeps?" She answered none of them, but his voice lingered in her mind like an echo she couldn't silence. One evening, she caught him carving something into the stone wall, a small dragon, wings spread wide. "Mocking me now," she said, looming over him. He didn't look up.
"No.
"I'm carving what I think you used to be." "What I used to be?" "Free." The words struck deeper than a blade. In secret, she began to bring him food herself, rare fruits from her personal gardens, silver scale fish from the molten rivers. They would talk for hours. Sometimes she spoke of her conquests. Sometimes he told stories of Earth, oceans that glittered without flame, skies that didn't bleed red. He laughed easily, something none in her court dared to do. It was disarming, infuriating, addicting. When she asked why he had joined the rebellion, his answer was simple. Because someone has to remind the galaxy that even the smallest flame can light the darkness. And what of fear? She asked. Doesn't it swallow your kind? He met her gaze without trembling. Fear's just proof that something matters. Her heart, a thing of fire and armor, stirred in ways she had long forgotten. Weeks turned to months. The Empress who once scorched worlds now spent evenings watching sunsets with her human prisoner. She began taking him on flights across her realm, shrinking her massive form into a more humanoid shape, a form of molten beauty with scales like sapphire glass. They soared over burning mountains and crystal seas. Kale's laughter echoed across the skies, and Sarathra found herself laughing too, a sound she hadn't made in ages. But not all dragons approved. Her general, Vorin Kall, saw weakness where there was warmth. He has infected you, my Empress, Vorin hissed. Your enemies gather strength while you waste your flame on a pet. She turned her blazing gaze upon him. Careful, Vorin. The last being who called me weak now fuels the stars. Yet even she couldn't ignore the truth. The rebellion grew bolder. The humans had begun to rise again, led by whispers of a boy who had once defied the Dragon Empress and lived.
Kale.
When word reached her that her council planned to execute him in secret to restore her honor, she realized how fragile her empire's control truly was. That night, she broke into the prison herself. He looked up in surprise as the wall crumbled under her claws. Sarathra?
Come, she said.
We're leaving. He blinked. Leaving where? Anywhere the fire doesn't rule. But as they fled across the crimson plains, Vorin's fleet descended from the sky. Dozens of Drakari warships encircled them, their cannons glowing with charged plasma. Traitor, Vorin's voice boomed from the flagship. You abandon your throne for a human? Sarathra's eyes blazed. I abandon nothing. I choose freedom. The fleet opened fire. The sky erupted in flame. Sarathra spread her wings, shielding Kale from the inferno. Her scales cracked, her blood burned, but she fought on, her roars tearing through metal and cloud alike. She ripped ships apart midair, incinerated squadrons with a single breath. But there were too many. A plasma lance pierced her chest. She fell from the heavens like a dying comet, crashing into the ocean of fire below. Kale dragged himself to her side, coughing, tears mixing with ash. Don't you dare die on me, he choked. She managed a faint smile. Still giving orders, little human? Always, he said, pressing his hand to her wound. You saved me. Now it's my turn. Something within him glowed, soft, blue, human light. It seeped into her wound, pulsing like a heartbeat. She gasped as the energy spread, fusing with her essence. Her flames reignited, brighter, purer than before. Not rage, not pride, love. She rose again, wings blazing white, her power reborn through the bond they shared. With one final roar, she unleashed a storm of fire so fierce it split the clouds and scattered the fleet into dust. When silence returned, only she and Kale remained, floating above a sea now calm and golden. Days later, the Drakari Empire bowed before a new dawn. The Empress no longer ruled through terror, but through choice. She dissolved the chains that bound lesser worlds, forging the accord of flame and sky, a pact between dragons and humankind. The galaxy whispered that the Empress had found her match, not in strength, but in heart. The end.